mean, this is transplant season, so people are going to experience this. Why do plants get leggy?
Why do plants?
What
Well,
does leggy mean first, just for those that don't know?
okay. Yeah, leggy doesn't mean they develop a whole bunch of legs, right? That would be kind of cool. But so leggy just means that they get taller than they should be. And because they do that, the stems are kind of weak. So you
Right,
get these tall growths that are weak, and you get some leaves quite high up. And it just makes for an unhealthy plant.
right,
In nature, plants don't get leggy normally, right? Because they're getting lots of sun, and they also grow cool. So most of these seeds are germinating fairly early in the season when it's still cool.
mm,
But then
right,
gardeners come along and mess it up, right? So they take these seeds and they bring them inside. A lot of people use heating mats to germinate them, and then they leave them on the heating mat. So they're actually
yes,
growing them warm. And I think people think that, these all these plants we're growing need to grow warm, but in fact, they grow better cool.
right,
So use the heating mat to germinate if you like, but as soon as you see any green, take them off the heating mat and grow them cool. So heat is one problem.
right.
And the second one is the amount of light and maybe the quality of light, but mostly it's the amount. So a lot of people put these things on a sunny window, but you have to remember that what we think is sunny is not sunny compared to what's outside. So we're trying to grow these seedlings in a really low light condition. And what the plant does, it germinates and makes a little spike up and goes, well, where's the sun? Where's all the light? Well, I better go find it. So it
Right.
starts growing really tall and it elongates. It's trying to reach the light.
It thinks it's competing with foliage above it, like it's going to punch through some sort of canopy.
Yeah, the neighbor plants are shading the
Yeah,
shade. It just reaches for the sun. If it gets more light, then they'll be shorter. If you don't give them enough light, they get taller. And
right.
the light is the major reason you get leggy seedlings.
Mm,
Okay?
right, right, right,
And most of us in the home, we just don't have good lighting systems for growing seedlings.
right.
Um, so the trick is don't start them too early. Give them as much light as you can and try to grow them on the cool side.
Should you be okay with a south window? Like, is that
I give them as much light as you can.
right?
Now, there is a potential problem here is that if you germinate them somewhere where it's dark, like your basement, and then you put them in that sunny window, they'll get fried, right? They get too much sun too quickly. So you
Right.
do have to get them accustomed to that light. But once they're accustomed to it, they can take full southern windows because
Mm,
that same seedling, you could start outside in something like winter sowing, for example,
right.
where they get 100% sun all day long. And what you end up with is really tiny, tough little plants.
Yes.
Right? The first time you see them, you think, oh, geez, these aren't growing right. They're only like,
Yes.
quarter-inch tall, but they're tough and they're growing the way they do in nature, right?
Yes.
We're used to seeing these tall, leggy little things. So,
That's right. I've done experiments with doing that sort of thing under hoop houses with tomatoes, where I stick the seed in the ground and at the beginning of May,
yeah.
and uh, when everything goes right. I mean, every once in a while we'll have a May where it gets so cold everything dies, even inside a hoop house. But when everything works out right, um, you could have a seedling you started outdoors in a hoop house in May, and another seedling you started 1st of April in a window in your house. And the outdoor one actually might outperform
Yeah.
uh, the one, even though it's been growing half the time, because it's been getting full sun and real soil conditions and sort of all just, it never had to, it had infinite capacity to expand its root, all the water it ever wanted, all the sun it could ever take,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it's a gamble. For every year I've had amazing success, there's been years where they all are just vaporized in one night, right? And you think, God damn it, they're all dead, Or there's one day where you forget to vent the thing,
Yeah.
and they're all destroyed, right? Completely to just because it was like 55 Celsius in there, some crazy heat like that.
Yeah.
Um, okay, now one more thing about stems, and that's talking about vines.
Mhm.
So there's a
Yeah.
neat thing in your book where you talk about, do they, whether it's the tendrils on peas or just a plant like a bean that tends to vine like this. And there's some people say, oh, they grow kind of like flushing a toilet. They go this way in, the northern hemisphere and this way in the southern hemisphere
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. Can you give us some clarity on that? What's really
Sure.
the case?
Sure. So most vines will twirl around something, right? That helps them go up
Yes,
another plant. And it turns out that, if I remember correctly, about 80% of them go one way and the other 20% go the other way. It doesn't matter which hemisphere you're in, they're going to go, if it's a clockwise vine, it will go clockwise.
right.
And it is handy to know which one's which, because a lot of us gardeners will help it along, right? The
I do that.
vines tend to go up sideways and they're looking for something, and we push it back on where it's supposed to be and we help it go around. But if you turn it the wrong way, then the vine has to kind of correct itself to go the right way. So we
Yes,
learn which way these vines go. Now you can look at the older stems farther down if it's an older plant and watch it, and you'll see how it's twirling. But yeah, it's handy to make it twirl the right way.
yeah. I find I often do this with my cucumbers. I try to get them, but I'm
Mm.
probably doing it the wrong way.
Yeah,
So I think in your book you say most of them have a tendency to go one of those, like something like 90% of the plants go, I can't remember which way it was, but so buy that book. But
you
90% of
have to.
plants tend to go one way. Doesn't matter
Yeah,
where they're growing.
that's
Uh,
right. Yeah.
and it's the opposite to what if you're right-handed, I think it's counterclockwise because I think you said right-handed people tend to twist clockwise, and most vines don't go clockwise; they go the opposite.
Yeah.
I think. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
Here, read the book or Google it or whatever. But yeah, it's not like the toilet.
Well, even the toilet thing is a math thing.
What?
It
I didn't know
is.
that.
Yes.
Jeez.
No,
I,
your day's really messed up
oh
now.
my God. I thought there's an episode of The Simpsons where they talk about that and how they, in the American Embassy in Australia, and they have this unbelievably complicated toilet that flushes the correct American way. It's a funny episode. Uh, anyway, it's a huge machine attached to the toilet to make it flush the other way. Hey, if you want to help support everything I'm doing here, go to Vessies.com to buy whatever you need for your garden this year. Use my coupon code GAVS23 to get free shipping as long as there's a pack of seeds in the order and there's no oversized items in the order. Check out the description box of this video for details. You can buy everything you need from Vessies. They have seeds, fruit bushes and trees, soil amendments, pest solutions, tools, clothing, and lots of other stuff too. So yeah, if you want to help support everything I'm doing here and they sell something you need, buy it from them using my coupon code, and happy gardening.